clouds have broken over Citi Field. The rain is gone. The sun is shining in more ways than one. The Mets have a win under their belts, and all is right with the world thanks to a big power source providing some thump in the middle of the lineup. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets play the middle game of their series against Cincinnati. After losing their first 3 games of the season to Washington, the Mets got a win under their belts last night as they beat the Reds 4-3. And after 3 straight losses, that had to provide some relief.
You know, they really needed it. They had a lot of decisions they had to make with key players going down. When you think of it, Bobby Parnell, Chris Young, they just needed some good news. And they really got some great news in last night's game. It really started with the defense. Second hitter of the game, Brandon Phillips, tried to go yard. Eric Young would have none of it. Fantastic catch. And then later in the game, Anthony Recker, who came in for a double switch, throws out Billy Hamilton, their phenom base stealer. And then Henry Mejia took over almost all night. On a rainy night, a cold night, he had all his pitches working. And then the power that the Mets have been looking for the last 4 seasons reared its head last night. Lucas Duda got the job and made the most of it.
And so the Mets get a win under their belts, and now they'll try and make it 2 in a row here this afternoon against the Cincinnati Reds. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Good Humor, the official ice cream brands of the New York Mets, by Geico, and by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Jose Valverde was a big part of the Mets win last night. Every reason to celebrate after his first save in the Mets uniform. All the action coming up today on SNY. Buy a ticket for the game and get a hot dog, french fries, and soft drinks starting at just $24 each, which equals big savings. Get to Mets.com/family packs for tickets. Driver on the Majors presented by Cadillac. Charlie Blackmon 6 for 6 with a home run. Not a bad night for the Rockies as they beat the Diamondbacks 12-2. Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run at Marlins Park that still has not come down as the Marlins wrapped the Padres 8-2. And Mike Trout hit a home run. So did Josh Hamilton. So did Cole Calhoun. And the Angels got their first win as they beat the Astros 11-1. This afternoon, second time around the rotation, Dylan G gets the start. Pitched awfully well, although his pitching line didn't really reflect it on opening day.
You're right. He got a little tired there at the end in the seventh inning, went 6 2/3, ended up giving up 4 runs. Should have gave up less than that. Within that game, 15 straight hitters retired.
Also pitching on opening day and pitching in hard luck for the Reds was Johnny Cueto. He lost a 1-0 game to the Cardinals.
Yeah, only gave up a run in 7 innings of work against Adam Wainwright that he got the loss with. But he's a guy 2 years ago, won 19 games. He is the ace of their staff.
Just hoping to stay healthy after 3 stints on the disabled list last year. It's a breezy day, but there is sun to be had. It's the Mets and the Reds. First pitch coming right up from Citi Field. Verizon Fios. Create, share, and save every Mets moment at home with Fios Quantum. America's fastest internet. That's powerful. Well, Eric Young, moments ago, received the Lou Brock Award, emblematic of his National League Stolen Base Championship last year, presented by a pretty good base stealer in his own right, Mets first base coach Tom Goodwin.
Tommy Goodwin, who had 369 steals in his career. Congratulations to you, EY. Lou Brock Award. If Lou Brock is on the award, it's a cool award. I don't care what it's for.
There's the Cincinnati Reds starting lineup. Billy Hamilton was supposed to be in the lineup today, but when he was thrown out stealing last night, he jammed his left middle finger. He had to be scratched, so Roger Bernardino back in there for the second straight day. Zach Cozart, who got a rest last night, is back in at shortstop, and Tucker Barnhart makes his second career start for the Reds as Dylan G makes his second start of the year.
Well, he's gone the longest of any of the starters for the Mets so far in this early campaign. Led the team in innings pitched last year, had 12 wins. We know he had a fantastic season, a fantastic spring training, and trying to build on that here.
Well, you can quibble about the meaning of a quality start, but the bottom line is the Mets have gotten 6 innings plus from their starters in each of the first 4 games. So the starters have basically done their job, and last night, despite a bobble by John Lannon, the bullpen was able to contribute as well.
You know, I hear a lot of people go, they have to go deeper in the game. Traditionally in April, most of the starters are only going 6 innings, maybe into the 7th anyway, because they have not been completely stretched out. The defense behind Dillon this afternoon. Eric Young, who had that fine catch, Juan Lagares, who seems to catch everything, and Curtis Granderson, great addition in right field. This is the defense you're going to see for a while. Wright, Tejada, Murphy, and Duda. Murph had some trouble so far coming back defensively, and Dylan Jean and Anthony Recker gets the start behind the plate.
First start of the year for Recker, who came off the bench last night to gun down Hamilton to help the Mets protect a 1-run lead. Well, Duda was the story last night, named as the starter at least for the moment. Responded with a pair of 2-run homers, which matched the number of home runs with men on base he hit all of last year.
What I found interesting, and we were all talking about it last night, is that here he was given the job over a buddy of his and went out and just responded in that way. Terry should have that press conference every day.
Well, there's something to be said for a guy having the comfort of knowing he's going to play every day. But then again, Lucas had that last September.
Yeah, you're right.
And never seemed as locked in as he did last night. So, that's one day, and we'll see whether he can build on that. Roger Bernardino leads things off for the Reds. Drew 3 walks in the game last night. And G's first pitch of the afternoon is in for a strike, and we're underway. Dillon got off to a marvelous start on Monday against the Nats, at one point retiring 15 batters in a row, and really picking up where he left off last year, where over the last 2/3 of the season he was almost as good as anybody in the league. And Bernardino swings at the changeup and misses 1-2.
Unlike opening day when it was almost all fastballs in the first inning from Dylan G, already the third pitch, a good changeup.
He threw 70% fastballs in his first start. Last year he averaged 54%, so it gives you an idea how much he leaned on that fastball on Monday. Two and two to Bernardino, the former Washington National, who's 4 for 15 with a home run against G. And he lifts this one to center field. Back a few strides, Lagares shading his eyes and somehow making the catch. It is not a fully bright sunny day. It's partly cloudy right now, and the sun came out right before first pitch, and Lagares really had to battle this.
Again, 2 things here. One, the great battle and getting turned sideways to make that catch, and the kind of teammate that Curtis Granderson is, as you see him kind of run into the picture at the last minute, trying to be there in case he lost it in the sun.
This is one of those really tough days for a fielder, because you not only have that sun darting in and out, you have a stiff breeze about 25 miles an hour out of the northwest. Here's Brandon Phillips, 2 for 5 last night, and he takes a strike.
You were talking about Dylan G throwing 70% fastballs his last start. If there ever is a jump in something that significant, the other team will be told, hey, he's throwing a lot more fastballs, or he did in his first start, especially early in the game, so look for it.
Off the fists, Murphy behind second base, and that's the second out. Well, let me ask you this, as a pitcher, as we look at the umpiring crew for this afternoon's game, with John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, handling the plate, Bob Davidson, James Hoy, and the rookie umpire, John Tumpane, who had the plate last night. As a pitcher, knowing that you went a little bit lopsided, would you purposely change the program the next start?
I don't know if you purposely change it, but I think that what happened, Dylan G came out of the warming up. He liked his fastball. It felt good, and he decided to go with it, especially early.
Joey Votto swinging at the first pitch. Well, that's 2 straight at bats now that Votto has swung at the first one. He flied out against Valverde in his last at bat in the 9th inning last night.
That was a huge out, by the way.
It's just so unusual to see Votto trying to put the ball in play early in the count. 135 walks last year. Last year swung at the first pitch less than 30% of the time. And now G ahead in the count 1-2.
It's interesting, Votto so far in this series now, a game and a little bit. He seems to be almost tying himself up. He's getting those swings that he's almost jamming himself.
What does that tell you as a pitcher?
It tells me that he's having a little trouble handling that ball inside right now.
See if Dillon comes back in. Recker sets up away. And Votto drives one to right center. Granderson back and reels it in just in front of the warning track. Ball hit hard by Votto, but a 1-2-3 inning for Dylan G. Mets come to bat against Johnny Cueto in the bottom of the first when we come back. Young still looking for his first hit of the season. Anthony Recker getting his first start of the year. Lucas Duda right back there in the 5-hole after his 2 home runs last night as the Mets square off against Johnny Cueto.
We see his numbers from his last start, the Toyota numbers. Fantastic fastball, 95 plus at times. Great power changeup and that good breaking ball, more like a slurve. 65 and 49 in his career in 161 starts.
Eric Young 0 for 3 and a walk last night. Contributed with his glove, robbing Brandon Phillips of a home run, but looking to get off the schneid in terms of the offer that has started his season. It'll be Young, Murphy, and Wright for the Mets against Cueto, whom the Mets faced twice last year, once significantly right at the end of the season in Cincinnati. You know, it was such an odd year for Cueto, who was on the disabled list 3 separate times with a lat pull. So he only made 11 starts all year, but 2 of them came right at the end of the season. Came off the disabled list, and his last start of the regular season was against the Mets. He threw 7 terrific innings, which convinced the Reds that he was ready to go for their wild card playoff game against the Pirates.
Pirates were more ready for Cueto.
Cueto lasted just 3 1/3 in that game against Pittsburgh, allowed 4 runs, 8 hits, took the loss, and that was the end of the Reds season, that 1-game wild card playoff.
He's got a little bit of a catch-22 in his mechanics, you folks at home. He's very deceptive because he has that full turn for you older fans like Louis Tiant in the day, where he shows his number to the hitter. The problem has been, as Gary mentioned, though, that has resulted in a lot of strains on his side and core.
He adopted the turn about 2 years ago as he strikes out Young for the first out. Nice fastball by Cueto, 1 away.
Defensively for the Reds, when you look in the outfield, you've got Ryan Ludwig, Roger Bernardina's got some great speed. Jay Bruce with a fantastic catch last night. Frazier, Cozart, and all the gold on the right side. 4 gold gloves for Phillips, a gold glove for Votto. Tucker Barnhart gets a start behind the plate. Votto's first gold glove ever for Cincinnati first baseman.
Here's Daniel Murphy, 3 for 7 in his first 2 games of the year, and he pops one up. Cozart looking through the sunglasses, and quickly there are 2 out.
It's a very deceptive motion. I think it's a very good motion. It just takes a lot of strength and it puts a lot of torque on your side. It's almost like he's showing that complete 47 number to the hitter, so you pick up the ball late out of his hand.
The problems first surfaced for Cueto in his first postseason start 2 years ago in San Francisco. He lasted just 7 pitches, had to come out of the game, and was never able to pitch again in that series, which the Reds wound up losing. And then he had the lat problems last year. Now, the Reds insist that there's no relationship between the twist that he makes in his delivery and the fact that he's had these oblique and lat problems the last 2 years, but that's kind of hard to believe.
They say whatever they want to say. That doesn't mean I have to believe it.
David Wright 1 for 4 last night.
So he never had any lat problems before he turned, and then he did the turn, and now he has lat problems. Come on.
Curtis Granderson would be next. I'm just passing along the information. Wright fouls one off the catcher. Barnhart is back 2-1.
But I will say it's fun to watch this young man when he's got it working. I mean, he is very aggressive, goes right after the hitters. A-plus stuff.
Matched up against Adam Wainwright on opening day in Cincinnati. Went 7 terrific innings. Lost the game 1-0 on a home run. 2-1 to Wright, and leads him back, and there has been a steady diet of up and in pitches to David through this first week of the season.
And that's sustained excellence right there from Cueto when we see that graphic. You're right, Gary. They have popped one, especially the first time up inside, letting David know that they're going to push him off the plate.
Wright 5 for 15 with a home run to start the year. And he takes it wide, ball 4, and Wright's on with a 2-out walk. So David's the first base runner for either side. And now Curtis Granderson. They put on a full shift against Granderson last night, and he stroked one right over the third base bag for a 2-base hit, right in front of Duda's first home run. This time Frazier playing a little more at home at third base, with the other infielders shifted. And a fastball strike.
But he is changing after 1 pitch and 1 strike now. He's moved closer to the shortstop position. You know, I've talked with a lot of folks with the Tampa Bay Rays. You see this shift. They believe the breaking ball not as important. That's what Granderson hit to the left side. The changeup is the pitch when you're behind that they'll hit into the shift, the left-handed hitter.
Granderson 3 for 16 to start the year. All 3 of his hits have been doubles. Lucas Duda, last night's hero, waits on deck. Mike Leake characterized it last night as Duda versus Bruce, and Duda won. Granderson tries to hold one around on the high fastball, and Cueto has his second strikeout. That takes care of the Mets in the bottom of the first. Dylan G heads back to the mound for the second to take on the aforementioned Jay Bruce when we come back. He set the side down in order in the first. He'll take on Jay Bruce to start the second. Bruce drove in all 3 runs for the Reds last night with a single and a 2-run homer. His home run came against John Lannon, left-hander. Bruce, since 2011, has 45 home runs against left-hand pitching, more than anybody else in the major leagues. Albert Pujols is second.
He did something last year that I believe could happen. He hit 2 home runs off Clayton Kershaw in the ball game that the Reds won. Well, he likes the ball down, and that ball was down and away, and just a line shot out of here. Landon couldn't believe it. That's the kind of strength he has, though.
3 straight years with 30 or more home runs for Bruce, who's just getting into the prime of his career. There's a nice off-speed pitch by G. Gets the weak ground ball, and that's the first out. Well, that changeup by G can really keep the left-hand hitters off balance.
And it's interesting that he has gone to it early and often here. You know, I think Dylan has gotten to the point. I always say this. Occasionally you have that great talent that all these guys have, and it meets that intelligence quotient. You know, that's where he is right now.
Here's Ryan Ludwig, 1 for 4 last night. Well, against this Cincinnati team, you better have a weapon to get left-hand hitters out with those 2 big guys in the middle of the lineup with Votto and Bruce.
You've got to take care of those 2 left-handers, or it's going to be a long day.
I mean, the rest of their lineup is good, but if you can control those 2 guys, you got a chance. Ludwig drives one to center and barely having to move Lagares, 2 out.
They're good, Gary, but they can be pitched to. And what I mean by that, Ludwig and Frazier coming up, very talented, lots of power, can take you deep, but they also have some holes. And I think that Votto and Bruce don't have as many holes. Bruce does up in the strike zone, but Dylan's strength is not up in the strike zone, so that's not where he wants to be.
Now Todd Frazier, the Toms River product, 1 for 4 last night, off to a good start this year, 6 for 15 with a couple of home runs.
Our man Al Leiter is from Toms River, isn't he?
Certainly is. Unlike Al, though, Todd played in the Little League World Series.
Al did not?
I don't think that Toms River team made it that far.
You know, what's pretty funny is that, you know, of course, I know Al's great career, but I played more against his brother, Mark, who was a pitcher with the Phillies and other teams. Well, that knee really bent in. He's open.
Extended.
Yeah, he's open, and he's really kind of, that knee comes in at such a awkward angle almost. It's a device to keep you closed, keep that front shoulder closed. He's a different kind of hitter. He's not your cookie cutter kind of guy. See that leg bent in? He will lean forward and then back and then into the ball, and I think that's why he generates so much power. I said last night, pound for pound, I don't know how. It's about 205, maybe 200 pounds, maybe a little bigger. He's as strong as anyone in the game. Kind of that kick started, squished the bug, as they say in a lot of hitting academies.
2-2 from G to Frazier, and it misses high, 3-2. Well, what they want from Frazier is for him to make some more consistent contact. Yeah. He hit under 240 last year, and he's got the power to hit 30 home runs, but he hit 19 a year ago. Lunges forward and hits it out to left center. And Lagares with plenty of room to run it down. 6 up and 6 down for Dylan G to start his afternoon. Lucas Duda leads off for the Mets in the bottom of the second when we come back. At bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Lucas Duda, 2 2-run homers last night for his first 2 hits of the year. And now facing Johnny Cueto leading off the home second. And Cueto comes up and in, 0-2.
Cueto has a good fastball so far. Don't be mistaken by the speed of Cueto. He's got a fastball that jumps on you.
He'll cut it occasionally too against the left-hand batters.
I didn't read Mike Leake. I know the first one was a changeup. I don't know what the second pitch was. It was one of those in-betweens. I don't know if a changeup or a fastball, but both on the nose.
Second one he got a little toward the end of the bat, but so strong as Cueto strikes him out with a heater. Third strikeout already for Cueto through the first 5 batters.
This is that cut fastball you're talking about, Gary. See it? Just move it up and in on Lucas.
Not sure it was exactly where he wanted it, but it worked out for him. But that's the thing about Lucas talking about the second home run last night is he doesn't have to square it up to hit it out of the ballpark.
Yeah. Well, that's true power when you think about it, right? That's why the power hitters, guys like Chris Davis last year, you watch him hit some and it leaves the bat and you say to yourself, boy, that's another fly ball, and it just goes over the fence. You're amazed.
Juan Lagares took an 0 for last night, went 0 for 4. 5 for 15 to start the year. He's got the .800 slugging percentage through 4 days. It's a nice place to be.
That's right.
There's the good slider by Cueto, and he gets ahead on Lagares 1-2.
Easier said than done, but those are simply the pitches he's going to have to lay off at some point.
Well, all it takes is a few good days for them to start pitching you a little bit tougher. Grounded down toward third, a foul ball.
Well, I think if you looked at his at-bats coming into this game, you'd say to yourself, okay, what's the theme? The theme to me is he's been really quick inside. If he's really quick inside, he's got to be vulnerable to away and slow away. It's a pretty simple game when you think about it.
And you watch him last year, and he had a tendency to chase that pitch out of the strike zone. So it's only natural with a few good days under his belt that they're going to see if he's still liable to chase. And Lagares takes just off the plate, 2-2.
And why do I say that? Most pitchers can say, you know what, you can cover half of the plate, but you can't cover all the plate. So if I'm throwing that ball inside on the corner and you're quick on it, that means that you're almost cheating to get there. If you're cheating inside to get there, that opens you up for me on middle of the plate away, especially slow.
2-2 from Cueto, and he bounces it. Full count. Well, it's the really special hitters who can cover both sides, right?
Yeah, and it's the special pitchers who read the bat. You know, Maddox and others. You know, they'd see a swing, they'd go, oh, you're going to do that? Okay, I'll counter with this. Cueto can do that at times.
3-2 to Lagares, and he walked him. So Juan not chasing that fastball out of the strike zone. Second walk issued by Cueto. Now Anthony Recker will bat with 1 out and 1 on. Recker got his first at bat of the season last night. He popped up. Last year, 135 at bats for Anthony. He started 34 games, hit just 215, but in those 135 at bats, he hit 6 home runs. And most of those home runs came in meaningful spots. Getting his first start of the year with a day game after a night game. And I think right now it's got to be edging on concern about Travis d'Arnaud and the fact that even though he hit a ball hard last night, he had a line out to third base, he's not getting any results at all.
Well, and Terry Collins addressed that. He said, you know, when you come back to the bench and all of your teammates say, hey, way to go, kid, good swing, kid, right on him, hang with him, gets old. You know, because this is a result business, and at some point you got to find a hole, you got to get some hits, and I'm sure that's how Travis feels.
And you know, it's different if you have a base of success underneath you. But you know, d'Arnaud came up last year, had almost 100 at bats, and hit just over 200. He didn't hit much this spring until a little flurry of power late in the spring, and now he's come into this season and started out 0 for 12. So, you know, even for a guy who has hit all his life, which he hasn't done it to the big leagues, at least not yet. One and two to Recker.
And you know, when you think about it, Gary, of all the Mets players, he's got to be good. You know, I mean, you know, David Wright, you assume that David's going to be good because he has a body of work. But Travis, because there's no real backup plan, he's got to be the real deal.
Broken bat Tapper, Cueto off the mound, and he throws him out. Recker could not have been more tied in a knot on that pitch. Lagares winds up at second base.
This is one of those balls inside that hit right where he puts the pine tar. That's about as far inside as you're going to see a ball hit a bat.
So now Lagares in scoring position with 2 out, and Ruben Tejada the batter. Tejada 0 for 3 last night, 3 for 13 to begin the year. And you and I both said it before the season about, you know, d'Arnaud. I mean, it's sink or swim. I mean, say he goes, you know, 6 weeks and doesn't hit.
Yeah.
What do the Mets do? I mean, you might just have to live with whatever he gives you offensively, be happy with his defense, and call it a day. Because, I mean, Anthony Recker's, you know, a nice backup catcher, but I don't see him catching 100 games.
Didn't we see this happen with Ike a couple seasons ago, that he got off to a slow start, but the Mets were winning ball games, so you can kind of overlook that. It depends on how the rest of the offense hits.
Off the plate to Tejada, so Cueto likely to be careful here with Dylan G on deck, first base open.
One thing I've said about d'Arnaud is that everyone is Dylan. Everyone I've talked to, scouts, anyone, baseball people, they are just so high on this kid as they're going to walk Tejada now to get to G. That he's the real deal. Okay, that's great. The only caveat I will say to it is that he had a couple of seasons where he wasn't able to play as much. So did his development get as far as he should be at this time?
Well, the other piece about Travis, and you know, you've been around him, he's a really serious kid, and
he is.
And you know, you worry about a young player who has not had the success at the big league level putting so much pressure on himself that it almost becomes paralysis.
Yeah, I mean, my read is that he's a serious kid, but at the same time, it seems like there's a toughness to him too, which will serve him well if things get a little tough.
So G bats with 2 out and 2 on. Lifetime 130 hitter with 10 career runs batted in. Looking to pick up a runner from second base. Cueto's now walked 3, including that intentional walk.
Interesting. Dylan, of all the pitchers for the Mets, probably stands the closest to the plate. And unlike when he first came up, he's really got a shorter stroke, really just trying to make contact, which is a good thing. Put the ball in place. Something could happen.
I think the Mets have a group of pitchers now who can help themselves a little bit more. You know, we know John Neese can swing the bat a little bit, and Zach Wheeler has shown signs. Matt Harvey when he's healthy.
I always say that on every ball club there's different fraternities, the everyday players, the bullpen guys, starting pitchers. And if you have a close-knit bunch of starting pitchers that are talented as far as the pitching concerned, they start to get uber competitive with the hitting too. And you have a lot of fun with it. Who gets the most bunts down? Who's got the most RBIs? Those are the things that make it real fun.
And a ball called against Johnny Cueto. That moves the runners to second and third.
Johnny's looking for the sign. Yeah, just moved a little bit. He and Tucker Barnhart have had some trouble. You see him throwing the ball in the glove. The last 2 or 3 pitches here, they are not communicating as well.
Interesting that the last 2 years, all but 2 of Johnny Cueto's starts were caught by Ryan Hanigan, who is no longer with the Reds. G goes down on strike, so the balk becomes a moot point. 4th strikeout for Cueto. And we head to the 3rd inning now in a scoreless game. First look at the National League Central this year. Those are the standings from last season. 3 teams in the division made it to the postseason, with the Pirates and Reds winning the 2 wild cards. As the Mets get to see the Cardinals during spring training, and they don't get to see anybody else. These are some of the storylines for this year. Interesting with the Cardinals, the amount of turnover with their everyday players.
It's amazing. They have a new second baseman in Colton Wong. Matt Carpenter has gone from second base to third base. Matt Adams is going to be at first base for the time being. Beltran's gone. You have Alan Craig out there. I mean, and the center fielder, Peter Borges, is going to be out there, who came over from Anaheim.
Zach Cozart leads off for the Reds in the 3rd. And then there's the Pirates, and we put up on the graphic there about their bullpen and about replacing A.J. Burnett. But to me, it's as much about, can you recreate the magic that they had last year?
Yeah, it was amazing, you know, with the fans and the team. First winning season in what, 20 seasons, 21 seasons. The bullpen was outstanding. Burnett's departure is going to be taken over a little bit by Garrett Cole being there all year. We said the full season for Walker. Same with Garrett Cole.
Cole was huge for the Pirates coming down the stretch last year. With the Reds losing Aroldis Chapman to that horrific line drive off his face during spring training, that's going to hamstring them for the first couple of months.
And I think it's already hamstrung him early in this season.
Good curveball by G to strike out Cozart for his first strikeout of the day.
You know, Chapman had 38 saves the last 2 seasons. As you see, this good breaking ball. Boy, G has all of it working, as opposed to his last start. He's got the curveball, change, and fastball working.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now the rookie catcher Tucker Barnhart, the rare switch hitter who is a natural left-handed batter. Don't see too many of those.
Usually they're right-handed and switch to lefty or add lefty.
Coors Light cold hard facts. Those are the numbers on Aroldis Chapman the last 2 years. The strikeout totals just knock your eyes out.
And I think the biggest graphic we had there, not only the numbers here are so eerily similar for the 2 seasons in a row, but can Billy Hamilton, can he get on first base? 0 for 12 with 6 punch-outs so far.
Line past the glove of Murphy, and Barnhart has a base hit, his first major league hit, and it's the first hit of the day for the Reds, and they'll take that baseball out of play and get it over to the Reds dugout as a souvenir for Barnhart.
Well, beautiful swing here by Barnhart. They always rave about his defensive capabilities, but a linea here past Murphy.
So the Reds have their first base runner. Now Johnny Cueto, not much known for his bat. Lifetime .093 hitter, and the Mets will play for the bunt. We mentioned the top three teams in that National League Central. The Brewers, they've got multiple issues with one guy, and that, of course, is Ryan Braun. I mean, coming back from the suspension, and he's already endured his first road whipping by the fans at Fenway Park yesterday. But even more than that now is the fact that his thumb, which was a problem last year, is now apparently a problem again.
It looks like right now, as they go through those American League teams in those parks, that he's only going to be able to DH right now, and they're counting on him to not only hit like he has in the past, but to switch positions and be in right field.
And right now, the biggest problem for him with that thumb is throwing, so that certainly is an issue if he's playing right field. Cueto stabbing at it and missing it, 0-2. And then there's the Cubs, who are clearly trying to rebuild. There's more attention being paid to the guys in their minor league system right now than there is to the people on the big league roster.
Well, it's going to be interesting if Rick Renteria, their new manager, can kind of change the culture over there with a lot of their young players. Starlin Castro is an not up and coming. He's had some star seasons.
Bunting the third strike. Recker going to second with it, and just in time. Barnhart erased for the second out. Another strong throw by Anthony Recker, this one on the bunt.
Well, this was a real chance by Recker, a nice aggressive play. You got to feel like the catcher on first base gives you an opportunity to take a shot, but Barnhart got out of there quick and got down to second base. It had to be a perfect throw, and it was by Recker. We've seen the catchers, d'Arnaud last night and Recker, making these throws on the run with all that equipment and just nipping Barnhart at second base.
And no hint of a challenge from Brian Price. Of course, his video coordinators just saw the same replays that we saw, and perhaps a few others, to make the decision not to challenge, as Bernardino grounds a weak one to Murphy. And so G surrenders his first hit of the day, but gets through the inning unscathed. Close play, but they appeared to get it right. No challenge necessary, and no score at Citi Field. With the Mets 2014 postgame concert series presented by Dwayne Reed. Watch Queens' own 50 Cent on June 14th. Rock and roll icons Huey Lewis in the News on July 12th. R&B legends Boys to Men on August 16th. And pop sensation Austin Mahone on September 27th. For tickets, visit Mets.com/concert.
We can't even get $1, just 2 bits?
Hey, local guy.
Okay, all right.
Can't be down on Fitty.
No.
Fitty rode the 7 train in his day.
I spent a lot of time on that 7 train myself.
To this day.
To this day, I spent time on the 7 train.
Cool but comfortable afternoon. Wind blowing hard, but some sunshine darting in and out. Certainly a lot better day than we had last night. Boy, was that a miserable day to spend in the stands. And kudos to everybody who was here last night and sat through it. Temperature was around 40, wind gusting, rain blowing. Top of the batting order for the Mets in the home third in a scoreless game. Eric Young struck out his first time up and takes one at his feet for ball 1. Eric now 0 for 13 to start the year. Daniel Murphy, then David Wright to follow. Frazier playing in very close at third. And it's grounded to the right side, and Phillips has it go right through him. A 4-time Gold Glover unable to handle that ground ball by Eric Young, and the Mets have a leadoff base run.
Well, I don't know how many years I've been watching Brandon Phillips. This is the first one I've seen him miss. I mean, that's how sure-handed he is. Kind of went into the slide, and the ball just went under his glove.
Not sure he needed to slide, did he? Cueto did not expect Brandon Phillips not to catch that ball. They're going to score it an error on Phillips. On his 4th Gold Glove last year. And I'm with you, Ronnie. I don't think I've ever seen him miss one before. Here's Murphy. Mets try to take advantage. Daniel Murphy popped to short his first time up. He has played 2 games so far this year, hit in them both, and dating back to last year now is a 13-game hitting streak, which is half of what Paul Goldschmidt has going right now for Arizona. He's at 26.
Wow.
Dating back to last year. Hasn't helped the Diamondbacks much. They're 1-6. Got blown out last night by the Charlie Blackmon-led Rockies.
What a game he had. You had it right. He had an Alfonso game.
Well, Blackmon is battling for an everyday job with the Rockies. They're trying to replace Dexter Fowler, who's now in Houston. And so they asked Walt Weiss about the game. After Blackmon goes 6 for 6, homer, 5 RBIs, and Walt goes, "He had a good game." In other words, he wasn't saying he got the job.
That's right.
He just had a nice day.
Well, Walt is a man of few words, by the way. One of my favorite teammates of all time. Local kid from Suffern, New York.
Well, he's got a tough project there in Colorado. He's got a couple of superstar players, but not a whole lot else right now. Slow grounder. Phillips with a chance to redeem himself, makes the flip, and Cozart does the rest for the 4-6-3 double play. And there's order back in the world.
Watch this flip, though. Watch how quick he gets rid of it.
By the way, you were talking before when we showed the Reds defense about how good they are with Motto and Phillips. The guy who I think is going to be terrific for them over the long term is Cozart.
Yeah.
He makes every play. Now, he's not as flashy as an Andrelton Simmons or an Adeiny Echeverria, but he is solid.
He's solid, and he's running into the same thing. He's got some power, and it's whether he can hit enough. But he is a solid guy at shortstop. They traded Didi Gregorius, who was in their system, because they felt that much about Cozart. That he's a good player.
Phillips playing in just the right place against David Wright, and it winds up being a 7-pitch inning for Johnny Cueto. No score after 3. No score. Brandon Phillips will lead off for the Reds. Well, last night, Steve Gelbs made his major league debut, and he was a hit. Did we save the baseball?
We should have.
Steve is parked next to the Mets dugout. A little nicer weather down there today, Steve.
A little bit. I don't need the baseball. I just need the weather to continue being like this moving forward. But we see Brandon Phillips getting set to lead off the inning here, take his second at-bat of the day. And Brandon Phillips, listen, you don't need to watch him that long to understand just how flashy and how entertaining of a ball player he is. He's going to fly out here, make the first out of the inning, but this is a guy that loves to entertain. He told me before the game that first and foremost, this is entertainment. Without the fans, they'd be playing in front of nobody, which is pretty sound logic, I'd say, right there. But something Brandon Phillips did say, he talked about where that need to entertain came from. He actually wanted to be the ultimate sports entertainer. He wanted to be a professional wrestler growing up, but he realized pretty early on that he wasn't going to be big enough or strong enough, and so he decided to take those entertainment skills over to the diamond.
Did he mention whether he wanted to be a good guy or a villain?
He wanted to be in the NWO. Now, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they started off as bad guys and moved forward to becoming the baby faces, I think they call them in the majors, right? Or in the professional wrestling.
Votto rolls out to Murphy, and 2 quick outs for Dylan G here in the 4th.
I think the biggest story is that Brandon Phillips has no problem talking to Steve Gelbs and not the Cincinnati writers.
He talks to the national media. He talks to the out-of-town guys. He will not talk to the Cincinnati writers.
Wow.
Because, you know, they're so tough in Cincinnati.
Exactly.
You know who he loves? You know who he loves talking to, though? He loves talking to the fans, especially in opposing ballparks. Said last night he was having a great time going back and forth with the fans, talking trash, but he said good trash, not over the top. Actually, we have proof of that. One of the fans tweeted out, "Coolest dude in the game, kept section 109 laughing all night." That's the tweet of the game. And so we just have proof not just from Brandon Phillips, but from the fans as well.
Laced the other way by Bruce and almost beat Eric Young, but he stays with it to retire the side. Nice job by Young to recover as that ball almost sailed over him. A laser beam off the bat of Bruce. Quick inning for Dylan G. No score at Citi Field. And that top of the 4th.
I don't think you see balls hit from a left-hander any harder than the one off the bat of Bruce. And, you know, Eric Young, if he had an Achilles heel last year, was going back on the baseball as a left fielder. And we saw the great playoff Phillips to rob a home run last night. And this one, very difficult right at you, but stayed with it.
Eric was top 3 nominated for a Gold Glove in left field last year, which was a pretty good credit for a guy who, played half a season out there.
Yeah.
Curtis Granderson leading off in the home fourth. That's looking for their first hit. Granderson hits it to right, and Bruce is there to grab it. 1 away. Mets have drawn 3 walks, had a base runner on an error, but no hits yet as Lucas Duda comes up. Duda struck out on his fastball his first time up. So Cueto's now worked 10 1/3 innings this year, giving up a run on 3 hits and struck out 12. It's a pretty nice start to your year. Change up to start off Duda, 0-1.
Interesting first at bat, fastball down the middle. Duda was taken all the way. Second at bat, Duda was swinging on the changeup. I mean, almost like a premeditated, I'm going to go up there and swing at the first pitch.
Well, swing at the first pitch worked for him last night for his first home run against Mike Leake. We talked about Votto going against type, swinging at a couple of first pitches. Well, Duda the same. While Lagares waits on deck. There's the slider from Cueto to get ahead on Duda, 1-2.
So first time all fastballs, Gary. Sorry. This time changeup and 2 sliders.
Getting the kitchen sink this time around. Trying to put a fixture on the outside corner and missed with it. 2-2. He starts going for the plumbing. Watch out.
We'll have him on HGTV.
Nubbed foul. Well, if Johnny Cueto can stay healthy for the full season, you can write his numbers in.
Yeah.
Despite pitching in one of the best hitters' parks in the National League, he has been consistently solid with ERAs under 3. Check swing. And he went around. The rookie third base umpire John Tumpain punching out Duda. 2 away.
Well, the naked eye here, I didn't think he went around. Ball's down and away. Let's see if we can see what John Tumpain saw from that third base line. Not the direct angle, but does that top of the bat go over? Well, close.
5 strikeouts now for Cueto. Second time he's gotten Duda. And now Lagares, who walked his first time up.
It's an interesting call by Tumpain, because most of the time when they say you went around, they will put their kind of fist in the air. Yes, you did. He punched him out, like exaggerated. Go sit down. I would not be very happy with that if I was a player.
So it was the emphasis that got
Exactly. Easy out there, killer.
You like the old Ken Kaiser approach, the minimalist.
Well, he also used to do it left-handed, so
just kind of confusing.
Yeah, he just give you a little jab. But what are you going to say to Ken Kaiser? Nothing in those days.
Well,
talking about wrestling.
Big man. See the wind blowing the paper across the infield. It's that kind of a day as Lagares thinks about a bunt with Frazier playing back. And takes a slider for a strike. 2-2.
I don't mind that early in the count because maybe you can steal a bag, but 2-1. I don't know. I'd like to be swinging the bat there.
And he goes down swinging to retire the side. 6 strikeouts through the first 4 innings for Johnny Cueto, who has not yet allowed a hit. He and G involved in a pitcher's duel on a Saturday afternoon. No score after 4. Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Been a lot of high-quality pitching early in this game. Only one hit, and that belongs to the Reds rookie catcher Tucker Barnhart, his first big league hit against Dylan G in the third.
Still, mostly fastballs like his first start.
Most important number there, 38.
Yeah.
38 pitches in 4 innings. Very efficient for G. As Ryan Ludwig leads off the fifth, flied out to center his first time. It'll be Ludwig, Frazier, and Cozart, 3 right-hand batters against Dillon in the fifth. And pitch count is important for G, maybe more so than for any other Mets starter, because over the course of his career he has had a tendency to pitch brilliantly for about 90 pitches, and then the effectiveness tends to wear off. Ludwig drives one deep down the left field line toward the corner, and it's out of here. Ryan Ludwig with his first home run of the year, and he puts the Reds on the board. It's 1-0 Cincinnati. Now Ludwig, who had an injury-plagued year last year and hit just 2 home runs all season, has his first of 2014.
Dillon threw him 3 consecutive sliders, 2 that missed, and then this one that just hung over the middle of the plate. Ludwig did a great job of just keeping that and wrapping it around the foul pole.
So 1-0 Cincinnati. Now Todd Frazier, who flied out his first time up.
Ludwig is one of those guys, left-handed thrower, right-handed swinger, lets go of the bat.
Haven't been too many of those over the years.
That's right.
Ricky Henderson, Cleon Jones, Mark Carrion.
This was a kid from Stanford, played with Miami for a while. He was one of those guys. Wasn't he outfielder? I thought he was a left-handed thrower, right-handed hitter.
I'm trying to remember who you're talking about. Well, we were talking about his effectiveness diminishing later in starts, and here's the numerical proof.
You know, I always like that. Now you don't really see it as much anymore because the 9th inning is forgotten and gone for starting pitchers. See Dillon throw this pitch first. You know, they always would have a stat for starting pitchers in my day. 9th innings ERA is only 1. Well, the only reason it's 1 is you're in the 9th inning, you're styling. You know what I mean? So.
Well, if you're not pitching well in the 9th, you're not pitching in the 9th.
There you go. The only numbers they have are good numbers.
Three-two coming to Frazier, and he laces one to left center, but over comes Lagares. 1 out. When I think about starters in the 9th inning, my brain always turns to the negative. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think of 2 things. I think of Sid Fernandez in Atlanta striking out 16
That's right.
and giving up a walk-off home run to Lonnie Smith. And I think about Paul Wilson early in his career pitching an absolute gem at Wrigley Field, and Sammy Sosa breaking a window and beating him in the bottom of the 9th when Dallas Green left him in. Because, you know, the guys who finish the 9th, that used to be routine, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the catcher that used to be. You'd probably help me. It was Ashby was the catcher for the Houston Astros. Alan Ashby.
Out to left field, and Eric Young is there, and Cozart retired, 2 out.
And it was one of those tight games, which there always were against the Houston Astros because they had such great pitching. I think I was up 2-1, first out in the 9th inning in Houston, gone. Second out, gone. Alan Ashby came up, first pitch, hit it out of the ballpark. I was so stunned. I was like, wait a minute. I'm supposed to win this game 2-1. I get through the inning, and luckily the Mets scored a run in the top of the 10th, so got me the win. So they picked me up.
See, you think you were surprised. How surprised were you when Doc gave up the home run to Scioscia in the bottom of the ninth? Murphy couldn't find it at the last moment. He was thinking about the over-the-shoulder catch, but then it disappeared on him, and Tucker Barnhart is 2 for 2.
Well, Murph shows great hustle in getting out there, but he takes his eye off the ball and then tries to pick it up and never did. You know, I always think of the guys that were able to make those plays look easy. It was the guys like Robbie Alomar who would start out there and could backtrack like a cornerback or a safety and run backwards and kind of make the play.
So that clears the pitcher's spot as Cueto comes to bat. Bunted into a fielder's choice his first time up. I mean, you were sitting there watching in '88. Did you think there was any chance Mike Scioscia goes deep against Doc in the bottom of the ninth?
I was just checking out what the Athletics were doing. I mean, that's what you felt in your mind, that boy, this game's over. We're one closer to playing the Athletics.
3 games to 1.
Okay, we're going to play the A's. I'm thinking about their lineup, and maybe that's the reason that we went down in that series, is that we're looking ahead instead of looking right where we should have been, and that's the Dodgers.
Well, you'd beaten them, 10 of 11 during the year.
It's still a shock today. It's just so awful. But it was. It just, how do I say it? Dwight was just magic. I guess I can equate it. If you're a golfer and, you know, for 10 years, that 10-year period where Tiger Woods was unbeatable, you knew he was going to make the putt because he always does. Dwight always made the pitch until that one. And you could almost accept it if it was Gibson or one of their power hitters. But Scioscia, for a big guy, was not a power hitter.
Poked and a base hit for Cueto, taking it under the glove of Duda. So Johnny Cueto, a lifetime .093 hitter, prolongs the inning with a base hit.
Cueto's year this year, the theme is to strive to get to 100 for batting average. But good hitting there. Fastball away, hits it under the glove of Duda.
So back-to-back 2-out hits by the 8 and 9 hitters, and that brings Roger Bernardina up for the 3rd time. He's flied to center and grounded to second, 0 for 2. 2 out and 2 on, and Bernardino watches low and away. A leadoff home run by Ryan Ludwig here in the 5th, and then after 2 out, a pop fly single by Barnhart and the pitcher Cueto with an unlikely hit. And G has to work that much harder. Through 38 pitches in the first 4 innings, this will be his 20th pitch in the 5th inning. And he misses with the changeup, 2-0. Dillon had retired 13 of 14 batters coming into this inning. And he finds the inside corner, 2-1.
G's starting to get on those little rolls. 15 straight in his first start, 13 of 14, as you said before.
Brandon Phillips, the on-deck batter. And Bernardino can't find the changeup, 2-2.
Good pitch. 2-1 changeup. Kept it down, though. You know, if you're pitching in this game to this lineup, you've got to say to yourself, Bernardino's got to be the guy I get. I cannot go into the Phillips, Votto, Bruce trio.
2 on, 2 out, 2-2 to Bernardino. And it's too high. Full count. He has not walked a batter today. He's struck out only one. Trying to find his way out of what has become an increasingly laborious fifth inning. So now Barnhart and Cueto get set to run. And Bernardina goes down swinging on the changeup. Second strikeout of the day for Dylan G. But the Reds grab the lead. Ryan Ludwig with his first home run of the year. Rifles one inside the left field foul pole to break the scoreless tie. Halfway through at Citi Field, 1-0 Cincinnati. Nice looking day in New York. Mets looking for their first hit, trailing the Reds 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the fifth. Anthony Recker will lead off for New York, and leading off for us, Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, Anthony Recker's looked great behind the plate the last couple of nights. Gunned down Barnhart in the third inning at second base. Last night, of course, getting Billy Hamilton as he attempted to steal second. That was in the eighth inning. And I talked to Recker because as a backup catcher, how do you keep yourself prepared every day in terms of your throwing motion? He said he tries to get some throws in before BP, did it a couple of days ago. Also said that he really works on his mechanics during just routine toss. Says he tries to keep things short and quick, but the majority of what helps is the footwork. He says, yes, he tries to work on arm slot, but more than anything else, does a lot of footwork drills because that's the most important thing.
And I know Anthony was disappointed with his throwing last year and really worked on his footwork during the offseason.
You know, he had an interesting tidbit when Billy Hamilton stole his 155. Recker was in that league, and he believes he threw him out a couple times. He was called safe, but he said his shortstop assured him that he was out both times. So Recker's done it before.
Now, if his manager in AA had instant replay challenges available to him, he might be 3 for 3.
Hamilton would have had the slump with 153 stolen bases.
1-1 to Anthony, and he takes a fastball for a strike from Cueto, who has struck out 6 and walked 3 through the first 4 innings. Despite all of those strikeouts and walks, his pitch count not especially high. Recker got tied in a pretzel on a breaking ball, broke his bat and hit a comebacker his first time up.
You can see why they rave about this young man, Barnhart, Tucker Barnhart. He called for that pitch down, was ready for it, smothered the baseball. Defensive whiz. asked for it down there. I mean, where's it going to go? There's no place for that ball to go other than smothered and in front.
On the outside corner and record caught looking. That's 7 strikeouts for Cueto, including the last 3 Met hitters.
Well, this has been one of the themes. We've seen a lot of these kind of pitches that start on the outside part and come back. And I would have to say, I can see Rutgers' point, but one thing I would say with the umpires so far in the first 5 games, they are calling that pitch a little off the plate.
There's nothing wrong with umpires being aggressive calling strikes.
Unless you're a hitter.
Well, anything that gets hitters to swing the bat, it's better for the game as a whole, I think.
Well, I totally agree. And I think also when you go into the season where you're going to have some instant replay and other things to look at, the best way, and I know many pitchers have said this, best way to get the game going is to have umpires who are aggressive in calling strikes.
And, you know, the other piece of that is from an umpire standpoint, now just about everything they do is negotiable, but not balls and strikes.
Yeah.
That's really become their bailiwick because there is no instant replay for balls and strikes, and something for the umpires to take even more pride in now. Tejada lofts one to right, overcomes Bruce. He won't get there, and it goes by him and all the way to the wall. Tejada on his way to second, and he'll pull in there with a 1-out double. And the Mets have their first hit of the afternoon. A double for Ruben Tejada, his first extra base hit of the season.
Well, Tejada's mixing his hits in, and you like to see this. That's a pretty good pitcher's pitch right there. Down and away, and able to hit that not only in the gap, but with something on it. Short stroke there from Ruben Tejada. Nice to see.
So the Mets finally break through with a base hit. Tying a run at second and 1 out. Dylan G, the batter, struck out his first time up. And he hits it in the air to shallow right. Bruce playing shallow is there. And they're 2 away.
If I were Ruben, I would take this swing right here. I would put it on a loop and just watch it over and over and over again. That is, boy, that's a beautiful swing. And it's something we saw the year he hit 285.
Well, he's got to keep the ball from hitting the bottom half of the ball. He has to use the whole field.
On his toe before the pitch comes. Wow.
So now Eric Young will try and get that run in from second. Eric 0 for 2 today. Struck out, reached on an error. And Cueto runs him inside, 1-0.
I don't know if you noticed, Gary, but Eric Young, when he started the season, he had the bat almost in front of his chest. Could threaten bunting at any time, could threaten with that short stroke. He's gone back now. His hands are back. 0 for 13 will make you do that.
Certainly you don't need to be threatening to bunt in this spot.
No.
Tejada at second with 2 out.
Well, around the horn, if you start in left field, Ryan Ludwig doesn't have a lot of speed, does not have a great throwing arm. Bernardina has great speed, a good, fair throwing arm. But Jay Bruce in right field is the guy that has the gun. He's like, I don't know, he's like the natural out there in right field. Can do it all.
One and one to Young. Cueto relentlessly working him inside. On 2-1, Young lays off the off-speed pitch. And now it's 3-1 with Daniel Murphy waiting on deck. Young is 0 for 14 to start the year. He does have 1 run batted in. It came on a sacrifice fly. Ahead in the count now, 3-1. And he went around on the half swing on what would have been ball 4.
Home plate umpire John Hirschbeck called this. He certainly went.
Cueto running that cutter in on Young several times in this at bat. Now it's 3-2. And that's strike 3 called. He got him. So a couple of strikeouts in the inning for Cueto. He surrenders his first hit, but gets through it. 8 strikeouts for Cueto, 1-0 Reds. The crew in studio find out how he changed up his off-season workout and his expectations for the season. Plus, the latest news and opinions on the Vic and Decker signings on Jets Nation Sunday at 7 p.m. only on SNY. Bring your best buddy to a game.
Got his glove, got his mitt.
Got your finger.
Hey.
Pat LaFrida's. Don't miss that. That's some serious beef. Call strike to Brandon Phillips as we start the 6th inning. I think you had one of those.
I did for lunch today. We've been having a lot of salads and day games. You have a lot of the breakfast food here. And I opted for a prime rib sandwich. It was delicious. Me and Josh Lewin.
Nothing is going badly for Johnny Cueto today, except that his jacket sleeve's inside out.
See, this is what happens when you throw 5 shutout innings. Someone will help you with your jacket. If you're getting your lunch, you got to put the jacket on by yourself.
Phillips twice has popped up to Murphy, and G's curveball strikes him out for the first out of the inning. 3rd strikeout for G.
Boy, this is a pitch you don't see Dylan G throw too often. That good hard curveball to the right-handed hitter. You'll see it to the left-handed hitter, but not as much to the right-handed hitter. Good pitch.
So Phillips retired, and now the 2 big left-hand hitters, Votto and Bruce. And Votto takes a first pitch curve for a strike. Lined out to right, grounded out to second. 0 for 2 today. 1 for 6 in this series. And it's a little bit low, 1-1. We talked last night about Votto and how he's led the league in on-base percentage 4 years in a row, but that since his MVP year, his slugging numbers have come down. And Elias gave us an interesting note today. Votto hit 24 home runs last year, led the league in walks, He was the first player. He had the highest walk total for a guy with fewer than 25 home runs since Eddie Yost, who had a career with the Senators and the Tigers, known as the Walking Man.
That's
and
right.
later was the longtime Mets third base coach. Anytime you can evoke Eddie Yost, it brings a smile to a long-term Met fan.
You know, go to baseballreference.com and look at his numbers for his career and the on-base percentage and walks. It's amazing. You know, that's again tied up. I don't know if he's doing it to himself or just the good pitching of G. Because that ball's more middle.
Inside, yeah.
You know, it's more middle, and it's a pitch that you usually don't see him tie up on. But like all Votto at bats, he's 3-2 at some point. This is last 5 seasons.
You see 600 slugging percentage in his MVP year, 491 last year. Still very productive, but just not as. And again, just getting a piece. That time on a 3-2 changeup. G hasn't walked a batter today. He struck out 3. Allowed 1 run and 4 hits. The run coming on a Ryan Ludwig home run leading off in the 5th. So far, Johnny Cueto has been just that much better. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming to Votto. And another tie-up foul ball.
I mean, it might be just the case of he's not seeing it that well early. But coming into this game, he was 0 for 4 in his first game and then 6 for 11. So you would think he's seeing it fine.
Again, the 3-2. On the inside corner, he got him. Beautiful pitch by G. His 3rd consecutive strikeout. 2 out in the inning. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple standing by for a game break brought to you by your local Tri-Honda dealers. Tigers are the only unbeaten team left in Major League Baseball as Jay Bruce takes a curveball for a strike.
That's this fastball that you start at his hip and bring it back over. And John Hirschbeck has always had a very good strike zone for pitchers, and G gets that call. Does that pitch catch the corner or is it inside? Well, nice catch there by Recker.
Close enough.
Yep. Oh.
Bruce clubs one to right. Granderson back and makes the catch. Side retired. 1-2-3 inning for Dylan G with a couple of strikeouts along the way. G keeps firing, but the Mets down a run as they come up in the bottom of the 6th. Cueto and the Reds with a 1-0 lead. Mets will have 2, 3, and 4 in the order coming up. Murphy, Wright, and Granderson. Murph is 0 for 2 today, and he takes a strike from Cueto. Cueto has struck out 8, matching his total from his first start against the Cardinals. He's never struck out more than 11 in a major league game, which I find a little surprising. Figure he would have had one of those 13, 14 strikeout games somewhere along the way as Murphy went around 0-2.
One of those magical games where everything seems to go right. I was reading in the paper there was a young kid here out in Carl Place, New York,
on the island,
and struck out 21-21 in the 7-inning game. Wow. Now that's as perfect as it gets.
Line the other way, and that'll fall for a base hit. Ludwig barehands it as he cuts it off, and Murphy has to stop it first. Well, that's not exactly the way they draw it up defensively, but it worked for Ludwig to keep Murphy from getting into scoring position.
Yeah, he got a little lucky here. First, real good hitting by Murph on that 0-2 pitch. Just drove it to left field, and the ball kind of jumps back to the left of Ludwig, and he had to use the bare hand.
Whatever works. So Murph now has a 14-game hitting streak dating back to last year, and the Mets get the leadoff man on for the second time today. David Wright has walked and grounded out 0 for 1. Just the second Mets hit against Johnny Cueto. Cueto's pitch count still rather low here in the 6th inning. Wright gets jammed. Cozart to second for 1. Phillips, no chance to turn 2 as Murph came sliding hard. And the 2 second basemen acknowledge the hard but clean play.
Well, Murph's probably one of the best Mets at doing this, although he slowed up there for a second. I don't know why.
I think maybe he didn't think there'd be a play, then he thought there might be. Slid late.
No reason to. Just get there as quick as you can and get into Phillips as quick as you can.
So now Wright replaces Murphy at first with 1 out. Granderson the batter, 0 for 2 today. And Curtis takes one of the dirt, stopped by Barnhart, 1-0. Granderson is struck out and lined out to right. 3 for 18 to start his Mets career. Johnny Cueto, by the way, is almost impossible to steal a base against. If you're thinking in a 1-run game, David Wright, who can steal the occasional base. Opponents have been successful 16 of 46 against Cueto in his career. Think about that. With Cueto on the mound, the opposing base stealer gets thrown out more than 65% of the time. 35% is pretty good.
That's right.
But it's cockeyed.
Yeah. Well, he's quick to the plate, and he also has an excellent move. So that combination makes it difficult. And he also, before this year, and we know that Barnhart can throw also. Ryan Hannigan, one of the best throwers in all of the game.
Granderson yanks one foul. And, for all the movement he has out of the windup, he doesn't have the same out of the stretch.
Well, this is what you see if you're the hitter. From the windup, all you get is 47 and Cueto and the dreads. And from the stretch, you see it's a lot different. You don't barely see maybe just the 4. So there's not as much deception, but this afternoon, it hasn't really mattered.
Well, the question that I would have is, if you're going to put all the effort into having that full turn and whatever deception you get, do you lose a lot out of the stretch if you're doing that much and then you have to take that away?
I think what he's probably thinking is that while I'm on the mound and I'm pitching from the windup, I'm going to get the advantage I can. But then when I get in the stretch and trying to hold runners on, that goes away. And he's good enough to still be so effective.
Granderson tries to hold, and he stopped it in time. 2-2. See, he's emphatic on the not swing calls too.
I'm watching him. I got my eye on him.
Lucas Duda on deck. Of course, even before Cueto incorporated that Louis Tiant style turn, he was a very effective starter. It's not like that made his career. Granderson hits it in the air to deep right field. Back goes Bruce onto the warning track at the wall. It's out of here! Curtis Granderson with his first home run as a New York Met. A 2-run shot, and the Mets go in front 2-1. Granderson gets a hold of one, and the Mets go in front.
Well, this is why you sign a player like Curtis Granderson. He is a mistake hitter, and Cueto made a mistake. And usually when you do to Curtis, he does not miss it. Clutch player, big home run.
It's like a cutter right in the middle of the plate. Now Duda takes a strike.
He's trying to go backdoor with that cutter, but it caught more of the plate. And as you can see, he's not a big man, but tremendous power.
Well, we saw Granderson hit some bombs during spring training, but now his first in the regular season for the Mets. And now Duda, who hit 2 home runs last night but has struck out twice today. And he slugs one out to left center, overcomes Bernardina in the gap, and gets there for the second out.
Gary, where did that home run go of Granderson? Is it the Pepsi porch? Did it make it up there?
Down, but I think it must have.
No.
I think it had too much elevation to have gone into the lower deck, I believe.
I lost it.
Because the angle is such that it's hard to get in that lower deck unless you hit a line drive. When you hit it over the mow zone.
Yeah. Like Lucas's last night, if it was a little higher.
Right, Lucas has hit the mesh in front of that lower deck. Lagares fouls one off. So just as was the case last night when Duda hit his 2-run homer, the long ball puts the Mets in the lead. This time it's Granderson. Lagares with a good cut. 0-2. Juan has walked and struck out today, 0 for 1. Ryan Ludwig's solo home run against Dylan G in the 5th. And now Granderson's 2-run shot trumps that here in the 6th. Meanwhile, Chase Utley has homered for the 2nd straight day in Chicago. Phillies up 1-0 on the Cubs in the 2nd. Poked the other way, a base hit for Lagares. You talked about Lagares and plate coverage, and we've seen him do this several times now, taking the ball to right field.
You know what I like? He missed the fastball earlier, right on it, and now catches the slider. Remember his last at bat? Swung through a slider to strike out. This one, he's able to stay on it with 2 strikes.
Well, the Mets only had 1 hit in the first 5 innings. They've got 3 hits here in the 6th. Murphy a base hit, Granderson the 2-run homer, and now Lagares keeps the inning going.
You know, this ball is maybe off the plate away. And for Juan to be able to cover it, I know it's off the end of the bat, but still, you put it into play, you never know, good things can happen.
Now Recker, who's hit a comebacker and struck out 0 for 2. Cueto now at 91 pitches on the afternoon.
You know, Gary, in last night's game, we were talking about Lucas Duda, that 13 of his 15 home runs last year were solo. So it was nice to see him hit 2 2-run home runs. Mets have 6 now. 5 of them have come with runners on base. That's a good sign.
Well, that's the plan, right?
Right, yeah.
High on base percentage mixed with home runs produces lots of runs. With Lagares moving, Recker pops it up. Frazier right near the line reels it in. And that retires the side. But Curtis Granderson gets his first notch in his belt. Off a quality pitcher in Johnny Cueto. Granderson's 2-run shot, his first as a Met, puts the Mets in front 2-1 after 6. AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto, and we might pick your photo to show later on in the game. Now, have we actually shown any of the photos yet, or we're just stockpiling photos and getting ready?
Well, Keith has said he's almost done categorizing, and he will send the proper categories our way.
Well, I hope they screen Keith's photos very carefully.
He's screening them himself.
Ryan Ludwig's home run broke the ice in this game, leading off the fifth against Dylan G, who now has the lead for the first time after Curtis Granderson's two-run homer. And Ludwig gets ahead of this one and lines it into the upper deck. Don't see that happen very often.
You know, someone sent me a tape. One of the games I pitched when I brought up in '83 was against St. Louis in St. Louis. And Mike Laga was a home run hitter in the minor leagues that got a couple shots with St. Louis. Never happened. Hit one out of Busch Stadium, foul.
Really?
Out of
to the
stadium.
pole side?
Yes.
Deep to center, but playable for Lagares. And Ludwig retired, one away.
It's one of those pitches that can only happen on that. It's a pitch I threw that was going to hit him if he didn't swing at it, and he hit it out of Busch Stadium.
Like a slider on his hand?
Yeah.
I guess he cleared his hips.
He did.
One out and nobody on. Now Todd Frazier, who twice has hit the ball to Lagares in center field. G at 80 pitches working in the seventh inning, so no action in the Mets bullpen. G has the longest start for a Mets pitcher this year. He went 6 2/3 opening day. Trying to outdo that here in the seventh. Zach Cozart waits on deck. G's one bobble came in the fifth. He gave up the home run, then he gave up a couple of 2-out hits. One was just a pop fly, and the other to the pitcher Cueto. But since then, he's retired 5 in a row, striking out 3 of the 5. Now he's behind 3-0 for the first time today.
Frazier is a guy that will swing 3-0. You see Sam LeCure fooling around out there in the bullpen.
LeCure is yet to appear in a game this year. And there's ball 4, so Frazier draws a 4-pitch walk, the first of the afternoon for Dylan G. Meanwhile, on the horizon down in Las Vegas, Noah Syndergaard made his season debut last night.
Well, just outstanding 6 innings, couple of runs, some strikeouts. But boy, you can see the torque and the speed he generates from that mound.
Thor firing thunderbolts. There are his numbers from last night after Rafael Montero worked the opener for Las Vegas. Boy, is that a stacked rotation.
You know what I like about these young guys is they don't walk anybody, Gary.
Well, especially Montero.
Yeah.
I mean, he walks nobody. But Syndergaard, for a guy who throws that hard, has very good control. And you got, I think, Jacob deGrom going in the third game of the season for Las Vegas.
He's got the good hair, Jacob deGrom.
Zach Cozart has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. Frazier at first and 1 out. Frazier takes an interesting position with his body as he takes his lead.
Well, he's at a 45-degree angle. It's not like he even gets squared off to go back to first base. It's almost puts that right foot out.
Just foul.
That's the sign of a guy who doesn't steal bases. That's the lead of a guy who doesn't steal bases.
But it's almost as though he has to turn completely around to get back to first base. So you could probably surprise him and pick him off, couldn't you?
You could, but he doesn't take a big enough lead. So and he's a little defensive about his lead. He's making sure that he's got some weight going back to first.
Tucker Barnhart 2 for 2 today, waits on deck. 2-1 New York, 7th inning. Cozart looking for his first hit of the year. He's gone 0 for 13. Slow ground ball. Right gets the force. Murphy no chance to turn 2. So Frazier erased on the 5-4 fielder's choice. 2 out.
Well, nothing you could do there. What you want to do when David had to go to his right, you just want to be assured of an out. Gets over there, sets up with the throw. Throws a little to the right side of Daniel Murphy, so really no play at first base. Cozart has good speed.
And Brian Price is coming out to talk to the second base umpire, James Hoy. He is maybe questioning whether that throw pulled Murphy off the bag, and he's going to wait for his video guy to let him know whether he wants to challenge this call.
Well, it's a play you and Keith were talking about last night. Vicinity, is it when you're turning a double play or when you're catching a ball like Murphy was off the base?
You cannot challenge a neighborhood play call, but if it's a wide throw that pulls the second baseman off the bag, you can challenge the call. In other words, if the middle infielder is trying to get out of the way and avoid contact from a runner, that's not a challengeable call, but a wide throw that pulls him off is.
So what do you think happened there? Price went to talk to Hoy, and in that time, one of his video guys said no, he was there.
That's my assumption.
Okay.
Or he went and asked him whether that was a neighborhood call or whether it was challengeable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that could have been part of the discussion as well, because that's one of the nuances of the rule. Tucker Barnhart 2 for 2 had his first big league hit. A line drive into right in the 3rd, then a pop fly single in the 5th. These are some of the things that can't be reviewed: ball strikes, check swings. A fair or foul ball that's behind the base umpire is challengeable, but not in front of the umpire. That's the infield. Even if it's in the behind the base but in front of the umpire, it's not challengeable. Fly ball right field. Granderson should have plenty of room. And Barnhart retired to end the inning. So Dylan G's gone farther than any Mets starter so far this year. He's got 7 innings under his belt and a 2-1 lead. So far to dissuade you from the fact that he was certainly the right choice. He's been brilliant for 7 innings today. He has a 2-1 lead as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 7th. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, guys, top half of the inning on that potential Brian Price challenge. He went out to the second base umpire, kind of stalling while Steve Smith, the third base coach, checked him with the dugout. Once word got through that it wasn't something that they should challenge, Steve Smith slowly walked back towards the field and just gave a little thumbs down motion to Price, and he walked off.
course, that's part of the mechanics of this new system. You've got the video coordinator who's back in near the clubhouse, on the phone to usually the bench coach who's in the dugout, and then the communication has to get to the manager, who in most of the cases where there might be a challenge is going to be on the field talking to the umpire. So it just creates that much more need for communication.
Well, great catch, Steve, but think about it this way. We've had all this technology and these beautiful video rooms built, and we're still back to Julius Caesar, whether we're going to thumb up or thumb down.
It all comes back to the gladiators. There's Mike Adamle.
There you go.
You got your instant replay phone right next to your bullpen phone. Ruben Tejada bounces one down to third. Frazier, who is playing in, throws him out, one away.
Ron, you talk about kind of going back to the cavemen with the thumb down. Well, Brian Price yesterday, actually, he was talking a lot about the replay system, and he's one who really believes we have the technology in the game. There's no reason to bring the managers into this. He says it should be something as simple as whether or not the call is correct, an umpire in the back room looking at the feeds and saying yes or no and moving on.
I think most managers would probably agree with
you. And I talked about this. I mean, that would be the, I don't know, not better alternative, but alternative is that each ballpark had the right person back there and looking at it and saying, you know, buzzing down to the lead umpire and saying, hey, listen, I took a look at that. Really, you know, the proper call is that he was safe by a lot there.
You have the technology for that, and whether it's somebody, you know, in the ballpark looking at the monitors or back in the command center in Lower Manhattan doing it, whatever it is, there's no reason for the managers to be involved. As Dylan G goes out on 3 pitches, that's 9 strikeouts for Johnny Cueto, and there's 2 out in the 7th. You know, all you have to do is be able to buzz the crew chief, and tell him we're taking a look. He says, calls time, waits for the decision, gets the decision, indicates the change, and then you're done.
Just give the umpire in his back pocket one of those things you get at Outback or Red Lobster that kind of buzzes when your table's ready.
Exactly.
And you know.
With the red lights on. Here's Eric Young with 2 out. And he takes a strike. And, you know, this is the system that's in place for this year, and this is the way it's going to be. And they're going to get a full year of seeing how it works, getting opinions from everybody around baseball, including the managers, and we'll see what happens next year. Tough play, and Eric Young has his first hit of the season on an infield dribbler. Once Cueto couldn't get to it, there was no way that anybody was going to be able to retire Eric Young, and so after starting out his year 0 for 15, Young has his first hit.
Now you're taught as a pitcher, and I did this before and it cost me a season, but you're taught as a pitcher that if you have to leave your feet, you do not make this play. So if you can't get to it without leaving your feet, then you just continue on to first and let the first baseman throw you one. Probably we're not going to get Eric Young anyways, but you can't leave your feet.
Because you see Phillips pointed there, even if Cueto stops that ball, who's he going to throw it to? Because you know that Votto had to vacate to go after it as well. The only guy who could have possibly gotten there would have been Phillips, but not against the speed of an Eric Young. So 2 out and a runner aboard, and Murphy the batter. Eric goes diving back into the bag.
Well, not for nothing, but this is a 2-1 game. Eric Young's strength on this ball club is to make something happen. You need to add on a run here, late inning runs. Got to go, and early in the count. Let Murph have a couple strikes to work with.
Fly ball left field, and Ludwig has it measured, and that retires the side. So a 2-out infield hit for Eric Young is all the Mets get in the 7th. Dylan G back to the mound for the 8th, up 2-1. A really tough one. David Wright has the second most hits among players selected in the 2001 draft. Who has the most? For all you draft nicks.
Wow.
Johnny Cueto done after 7. He'll leave for a pinch hitter. The 2-run homer by Curtis Granderson, the only blemish against his record. Chris Heisey will bat for Cueto, leading off in the 8th against Dylan G. And G gets the first pitch over for a strike. Heisey appeared in last night's game, grounded out in his only at bat, 2 for 7 to start the year. Roger Bernardino on deck, and then Brandon Phillips. And G with the fastball gets ahead on Heisey, 0-2. Mets will keep their bullpen busy here in the 8th, with Carlos Torres, the right-hander, and Scott Rice, the left-hander, both getting busy. Last night the Mets got terrific relief pitching from Kyle Farnsworth and Jose Valverde, but both are at an age where you wonder about their ability to pitch on back-to-back days, and it'll be interesting to see whether Valverde gets the save call today, and if he does, how effective he'll be, as Heisey pulls one foul. Sunday at 4:30, go behind the scenes at opening day and see what it's like from a player's perspective, plus ride shotgun with Zach Wheeler as he heads to the stadium on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 4:30, only on SNY. 1-2 from G, and Heisey pokes one the other way, and he's got himself a base hit. Charged hard by Granderson. Heisey's going to try for 2. The throw by Granderson will not get there in time. A hustle double for Chris Heisey. And the tying run is at second with nobody out.
You know, Chris Heisey might be one of the best players in the National League who doesn't have a full-time position. He just is a great defender, does a nice job off the bench. He knows how to play the game right and when to take a chance. And this great aggressive play, nothing Granderson could do.
Well, Curtis charged it as hard as he could, knew that Heisey might try it, and he did, and he was successful. Now Bernardino up, and the Mets pinch in at the corners. Bernardino 0 for 3 today. And he does drop down a bunt, and Wright lets it roll foul. He was more bunting for a hit than sacrificing there. He's got the speed to do it. Each team now with 5 hits. And now the question becomes, and we talked about it earlier with Dylan G. You get to 90-plus pitches, how much rope do you give him?
Well, I mean, that first hit by Heisey was off the end of the bat. My feeling is that once you get to 90 pitches with Dylan, his history has been that that's not going to be a strength, so make sure you have guys ready.
You got the meat of the batting order coming up behind Bernardino. Phillips, Votto, Bruce. And this time he squares and takes ball 1.
I mean, the way I see it, it looks like G's going to get Phillips. He's handled him pretty well this afternoon. And then after that, of course, Rice is going to have to face the 2 lefties if it gets that far.
Wright comes in even closer at third now, with Bernardino having shown bunt the first 2 pitches. And he gets this one down. A nice bunt. Recker throws him out by an eyelash as Heisey goes to third. And Eric Young came flying in from left field behind Heisey, who was taking liberties past third base. Nice hustle by Eric.
Well, picture perfect bunt. Usually you let the third baseman feel this because his momentum's coming in, but Recker with an aggressive play and due to down.
So 2-4 on the sacrifice. Now the tying run at third with 1 out. Dan Worthen will head to the mound to talk things over with G. So it does appear as though G is going to get 1 more batter.
And that's how you know, if you're pitching in this game, is Dylan G's got to just tell himself, and I'm sure that's what Dan Worthen is reminding. Listen, you've been great against this guy Phillips all afternoon. This is how you've been getting him out. Make sure, let's stay with the game plan. And as a pitcher, you know this is your last batter.
Well, the Mets are going to bring their infield in, try and choke off the tying run. Whereas then you open yourself up to the possibility of a bigger inning But the Mets will take that gamble here in the 8th. Phillips has popped up twice and struck out 0 for 3.
Dylan G from the stretch, not wind up. Makes sense.
Heisey with good speed at third. The infield up. G's 99th pitch of the afternoon coming to Phillips. And he misses with it for ball 1. Johnny Cueto hoping that his team can get him off the hook here in the 8th. And Phillips hits it deep to left. Back goes Young, looking up near the wall, and it's out of here. Brandon Phillips puts Cincinnati in front with a 2-run homer. His first home run of the year, and it's 3-2 in favor of the Reds. Well, it's been an oft-recited theme with Dylan G. That one batter too many.
Well, we talked earlier about Phillips' flair for the dramatic defensively. Don't forget, this second baseman drove in over 100 runs last year. Trying to go inside, leaked out back over the middle of the plate. He is a dead high ball hitter and took advantage of it. And sometimes you're just dumbfounded on the mound.
So after Curtis Granderson's 2-run homer put the Mets in front, Phillips turns it around. 3-2 Cincinnati. G's day is done. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Scott Rice comes in to face Joey Votto here in the 8th inning.
An important job here with only 1 out. Got to get through these lefties. Give the Mets a chance to come back in this game.
3rd appearance of the year already for Rice, and he throws a fastball strike to Votto, 1-1. Well, a frustrating day for Dylan G. Gave up a home run to Ryan Ludwig, and then after Granderson's 2-run homer put the Mets in front, Brandon Phillips' 2-run shot turns it around for the Reds. And a check swing foul, 1-2 to Votto. It's so interesting to watch, Ronnie, because the theme is a familiar one. Remember last year in Atlanta when he pitched that gem into the 9th and Freddie Freeman turned the game around and beat him. And it's it's got to be frustrating for Dylan because you want to be able to push through that and not be known as a guy who, fades at 90 pitches.
Well, I look at it this way. I would even take a different way of looking at games with Dylan. I know we concentrate on the pitch count, but I would look at it that 7 innings is his complete game. So at some point, he threw 7 amazing innings. I know what you're trying to do as a manager. Let's push him through 8, get the ball to Valverde, the closer, and we don't have to worry about a bridge. Absolutely know what you're trying to do there. But I would look at it this way. If Dylan G went 7 strong innings for me, that is his complete game. And, your bullpen's going to have to be great at some point anyway. So, I'm not saying that made the wrong decision, made a decision. But to me, the history of Dylan is that at some point after 90 pitches, things go away very rapidly. His stuff, or I think more of it is fatigue. That's really what I think it is. Nothing more. I don't think he's, doesn't know how to. He's got toughness. It's not like he is not tough late in the game. I think it's just fatigue and the combination of a good offensive team, 4th at bat.
Well, you see last year. I mean, it's graphically stark the way that the numbers explode on him once he gets toward 100 pitches.
Well, what's funny? Not funny at all. What's interesting to me is that in this day and age where numbers mean so much, which ones do you pick and choose that matter?
3-2 to Votto, and he grounds one foul.
That one's less important than other ones? I don't know.
Well, I guess the question is, if you're a manager or if you're the pitcher himself, is it more about nurturing him to a point where he can get beyond that limitation, or do you accept the limitation and say, this is what he is, and I'm going to act accordingly?
I don't see any limitations. People, the 8 and 9 inning efforts are gone, folks. They are blown away in the wind.
2-hop scorcher to Murphy. It's time to get up and throw him out. 1 away.
So 2 away. Don't even concern yourself with that. Dylan has shown you now since May 30th, through spring training, through the first couple of starts, he's going to get you into the 7th. All right, but the 7th inning is a complete game for him, and you're going to have to get 6 outs, and you just hate to see him have that kind of effort and it all blow up, because he's going to leave here with a sour taste in his mouth when he probably shouldn't have because he pitched so well.
And really, you can say the same thing about his first start this year. Probably stayed a little bit too long with him, and what looked like a winning effort turned into something less. Jay Bruce is 0 for 3 today, so the Mets have done quite a job today handling Votto and Bruce. They're 0 for 7 between them.
Although Bruce has almost knocked the leather out of the gloves, Granderson and Young. We gave you that stat before, Gary did, since 2011, 45 home runs against left-handed pitching. As good as anyone in the game, lefty on lefty.
Ron Ludwig would be next. 2 out and nobody on. 3-2 Cincinnati, 8th inning. Rice missing with the sinker, 2-1. But you wonder also, when you talk about managing your starter and getting to your bullpen, as we mentioned earlier, who's available today?
Yeah.
You got those 2 older relief pitchers who were terrific yesterday. Are they available today? We don't know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's something that, and rightfully so, we never know going into a game because you don't want to tip your hand if you're the Mets.
I mean, it certainly would appear that after Farnsworth worked the 8th yesterday, he's not even up in the 8th inning today. So you would guess that either he's not available, or Valverde's not available, or both. Bruce caught looking. Rice does a nice job getting the 2 big lefties out, but Brandon Phillips ruining Dylan G's day with 1 swing of the bat. Turns a 2-1 Met lead into a 3-2 deficit as we go to the bottom of the 8th. SNY is brought to you by the Long Island Railroad, reminding you to take the train to the game. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap, available in original flavor, chili lime, chili garlic, and chipotle. And by Mazda, conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Mets down by a run, and the Reds go to the bullpen. Brian Price will bring in Sam LeCure for his first appearance of the season.
Well, he's always been a very interesting pitcher for Cincinnati. He's kind of the swing man. He served many roles, usually the long man on this team. 63 appearances last year, but now because of the injury to Chapman has been moved into later, more leveraged parts of the game.
At least for now, with Jonathan Broxton and Sean Marshall also on the sidelines from that Reds bullpen. LeCure, not a hard thrower. He'll cut it, he'll sink it. He's got the curveball that he threw first pitch to right. Wind is blowing the papers all around the ballpark while Jose Valverde is up in the Mets bullpen, ready to pitch in the 9th if needed. And Wright takes it wide, 2-0. David 0 for 2 and a walk today. LeCure has had Wright's numbers in limited confrontations. David's 0 for 5 against him. Granderson, who homered his last time up, is on deck. And Wright takes a strike. 2-1. You know, you get most of those University of Texas products. They're throwing 95.
Yeah.
Standing tall in the saddle. Not LeCure. He's a different kind of pitcher. Boy, it's got to be so hard to concentrate on the hitter with those papers blowing in front of you. But LeCure falls behind on Wright, 3-1. Always reminded of the films of the Bobby Thompson home run with the papers all over the field. And Wright swings and flies one to left center, but it's playable. Bernardina chasing it in the wind. And he's got it, one away. Let's check in with the studio for another game break. Gary Apple is there, brought to you by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. Here the wind has really begun to whip. It's been blowing all day, but now gusting 30, 35 miles an hour. Curtis Granderson had a 2-run homer his last time up. Now at the top of the stadium, the wind would certainly appear to be blowing out to right field, which would be a Granderson plus.
Yeah, right.
Although with the way the winds swirl, you just never know.
Big shift here on the infield. Cozart behind the second base bag.
Granderson lines one right at Phillips for the second out. Tomorrow afternoon, the final game of this series. Jonathan Neese comes off the disabled list to make his first start of the year. Alfredo Simon goes for the Reds. 12:30 the coverage here on SNY. Simon filling the rotation spot of Matt Latos as he rehabs his knee. And Neese pronounced himself healthy and good to go after a couple of minor league tune-ups.
It's a strange spring training, though, for Neese, wasn't it? Lots of complaints of
the elbow
bad
and the shoulder.
Feeling, 2 MRIs, both negative, but still pitching almost within the first week of the season.
6 days late, but better late than never. Dude is 0 for 3 today. Struck out twice against Cueto and quickly in a 2-strike hold against LeCure. Carlos Torres now up in the Mets bullpen. Juan Lagares would be next. Well, LeCure has come in and set down the first 2 and now ahead on Duda. And Lucas held the swing in time. That's a hard one for a hitter, right? You check your swing. You should probably be running to first base just in case, but as it turned out,
you don't want to tip your hand, though.
Well, I guess. The third base umpire said no swing, so it's a moot point. John Tumpane, the rookie umpire, making the call as the sun bursts through from behind the clouds to add to the outfielders' woes with that gusting wind. 1-2. Struck him out with a changeup. LeCure with a 1-2-3 inning out of the bullpen sends us off to the 9th inning with the Reds in front of the Mets 3-2 at Citi Field. Is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Time to answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked who has the most hits among players selected in the 2001 draft. David Wright being second.
Wow, that was not my choice, because I know that Joe Mauer was the #1 pick in that draft.
And David might have a chance to pass Tex if he spends too long on the disabled list, having gone down last night with a hamstring injury.
I wonder if there's been any thought in the Bronx to Mr. Davis.
Well, it certainly is a viable consideration. Right now they've got Kelly Johnson playing first base. Ryan Ludwig leads off in the 9th. Carlos Torres on to pitch, and a fastball in for a strike. Ludwig got the scoring started today with a solo home run off Dylan G in the 5th. Mets went in front on Granderson's 2-run homer in the 6th. And then Brandon Phillips changed the script with a 2-run homer off G to end his day in the 8th.
Very encouraging relief appearance from Rice. Could use one here from Torres as they start to build. I thought Farnsworth was outstanding in yesterday's ball game. Valverde has been great both times. So starting to have those building blocks of success in that bullpen. That's what you need.
J.J. Hoover will be the closer for the Reds for the time being, and he's up in the bullpen. He got 1 out in the game yesterday. For Torres, his 3rd time out in the Mets' first 5 games. And that cutter is fouled off. Still 0-2 to Ludwig, with Frazier and Cozart to follow for the Reds, who have been offensively challenged early in this season. It's not what you expect from them, but with their 3 runs today, that's 13 runs in their first 5 games. They lost a couple of They played a couple of 1-0 games to start their season. Won one and lost one against the Cardinals.
Well, in a small sample, I mean, last year they had Chu at the top of that lineup, and he's getting on base, what, over 40% of the time, setting the table.
Look at that, 4 one-run games to start the year, and involved in another one so far today. 1-2 to Ludwig, off the plate, 2-2. Now, G went 7 1/3, allowed 3 runs and 6 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts. Second straight start that G has pitched most of the day well enough to win, only had to have it go backwards on him at the end of his stint. Scott Rice retired his only 2 hitters, and now Torres working in the 9th. And Ludwig goes down swinging on the breaking ball. So Torres fans the first man to face him, 1 out. Time to check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post-Game Live. Gary Apple and Jim Duquette, guys. All right, guys, now Todd Frazier, who's 0 for 2 in a walk today. And Frazier's swinging at that cutter, 0-1. Zach Cozart, the on-deck batter. Melky Cabrera just struck again.
Whoa.
Homered for the 2nd straight day.
You know, well, last night we were talking about how the first batter Tanaka faced, Cabrera, took him deep. And after giving up 3 runs early, Mr. Tanaka figured it out, didn't he? I mean, just 7 strong innings, less than 100 pitches.
Struck out 8, didn't walk a batter. Toronto's up 2-0 today. They're in the 8th. Ari Dickey started that game for the Blue Jays, went 6 2/3 without allowing a run. Here's the 0-2, and it's lined into center field, a base hit for Frazier. So on an 0-2 pitch, Frazier has a 1-out single.
Watch the hand of Carlos Torres. Never want to do this, kids. Luckily, the ball beat him to the spot.
Worst thing can happen is that you make contact. But it's instinct, right?
I never did that, ever.
Really?
Never.
Because you see guys do it all the time.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it's wrong for them to do it, but never did that.
Here's Zach Cozart, 0 for 3 today, 0 for 14 to start the season. Frazier, no threat to run.
I don't think a lot of it came from training. You know, I mean, I was always an infielder before I ever became a pitcher in college, so you know that wouldn't be your reaction as an infielder, trained as an infielder.
But you can understand the feeling of wanting to do something.
Yeah, well, you're all open to the left side, and there's nothing left except your bare hand to maybe make a play. But that's the moneymaker. I mean, you gotta watch out.
Well, the best fielding pitchers are the ones who come out of their delivery square to the plate and ready to field their position.
Like Maddox was as good as they get.
Mike Hampton.
An old Met pitcher who had his best years probably in San Diego, Randy Jones, was like that.
R.A. Dickey won a Gold Glove last year. Runner goes, and it's fouled off. So Frazier was on the move. Said he was no threat to run. Proved us a liar again. Get a complete breakdown of today's Mets-Reds matchup with insider info, fan discussions, and post-game reactions on Mets blog presented by Verizon, part of the SNY.TV blog network.
Well, 6 stolen bases and 5 caught last year, so he can run.
And he's got 1 this year. Not particularly fleet. There's Billy Hatcher.
Had one of the best World Series anyone's had in the history of the game. Batted .750 in the 1990 World Series.
Which is very nice for him. But for Met fans, it's all about Game 6. The balls he couldn't catch in the 9th inning, and the home run he hit in the 14th inning.
That's right.
Off Jesse Orosco to tie up the game one more time.
He was an awfully good player. Gamer, played hard. More of a corner outfielder, though, playing center field that day in the 16-inning game.
Kozar lofts one foul. Duda coming over. The wind blowing it deeper into the stands. The wind is not at its gustiest right now. About a half inning ago, it was just blowing a gale. Flag still starched, but not quite as stiff. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have Lagares, Recker, and Tejada due up against J.J. Hoover. We got Ike Davis lying in wait as a potential pinch hitter. Kozart gets jammed and fouls it off.
It's interesting. They moved Lagares when the count got to 2 strikes, about 15, 20 feet to his left. So with 2 strikes, maybe the defensive numbers now have gotten to such a point that every count has a different place to play.
Well, Kozart was always a dead pull hitter until last year when he started consciously going more the other way. And he goes the other way here, and Granderson is there to play it. And that's the second out.
Good call.
So 2 out in the inning. Frazier still at first. And now the rookie switch inning catcher Tucker Barnhart, whose days in the big leagues are probably numbered. Devin Mesoraco is just a couple of days away from returning from an oblique injury. I think he's got 1 more game on rehab tonight. Then they'll give him tomorrow off, and they think he'll be back Monday or Tuesday.
And Mesoraco is the guy that they have felt now for a couple of years should be taking off at about this time. Very talented, got a lot of power.
They had him share the job with Ryan Hannigan last year. Hannigan was a guy the Reds pitchers love to throw to. We talked about him with Cueto earlier today. But, he's getting a little pricier, and they let him move on to Tampa Bay.
This young man did a nice job this afternoon, though.
He's got his first 2 big league hits today. He handled Cueto very well. Well, if you're going to play the Reds, this is certainly an opportune time to be playing them because of the deficiencies in their bullpen with Chapman and Broxton and Marshall all out. And the Mets hope to be able to take advantage of that lack when they come up in the bottom of the ninth. Torres trying to get them there in a 1-run game. Sam LeCure, though, proved to be a nice antidote for the Reds in the 8th. One to Barnhart. Neftali Soto has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter. If Barnhart can keep the inning going, there's Soto.
I thought you were going with Sam LeCure. You were going another way, one of our favorite bands, but you went.
Oh, the Robert Smith LeCure.
Exactly.
Taking off early is Frazier. Swing and miss, and Barnhart is struck out. So the inning is over. 2 strikeouts for Torres. Mets come up in the bottom of the ninth, down by a run, trying to come from behind in their final swings. Final Four, Rangers, highlights from Major League Baseball, all tonight, 10:30, right here on SNY. Thanks, Janae. Roger Bernardina moves over to left field. Billy Hamilton will come into play center field. So they tighten up the defense for J.J. Hoover, who is the interim closer of the moment.
Good numbers for J.J. Hoover in last season. Gary, did we find out what hand he jammed?
It was his left hand.
Left hand, that's better than the right. Okay.
Yeah. So Billy Hamilton on that slide last night when he was thrown out by Anthony Recker. Mets will have Lagares, Recker, and Tejada due up with the pitcher's spot fourth in the inning. You got Ike Davis sitting on the bench as a prospective pinch hitter. Corners in against Lagares, and Hoover misses outside, ball one. Hoover faced one batter last night, and that was Lagares. He got him to pop up to first base. And Juan takes it high, 2-0. Lagares has already been on base twice today with a walk and a single to right.
Good so far. Down a run, 2-0 counts. Got to take a strike.
There's Ike with a bat in his hands. Looks like he might bat for Tejada. And there's a strike, 2-1.
Didn't have to be. Lagares thought it was low. What do you think, Gary?
Strike.
Yeah, it's a strike.
2-1 from Hoover. Ball back. He's getting some good rips.
He really is. But I like that after he gets the 2 strikes, it's more of a 2-strike approach to put the ball in play.
And a 2-strike hit to right field his last time up. Hoover with 4 career saves, 3 of them last year. And he misses high, a full count to Lagares.
Well, he's throwing all fastballs, so you have to figure you're going to get a fastball away in this ballpark. You want to try to have the hitter hit it to the big part of the ballpark.
He's got a really good curveball that he throws a lot. Let's see. Fastball too high, ball 4, and Lagares draws the leadoff walk. So Lagares on base for the 3rd time today, and the Mets have the tying run on with nobody out. Now, right now, the difference in the game, 1 swing by Brandon Phillips in the 8th inning.
Dillon was trying to come in with a fastball, didn't get it there, and Phillips took advantage. It's like you pitch for 2 hours out there and you make one mistake, and sometimes that's enough.
Hoping that'll be a game-winning RBI, but the Mets trying to turn that around. Now, how do you play this? You got Recker who can hit a long ball and win the game for you. Do you have him bunt?
Boy, in the past you've seen Terry Collins bunt in this situation. He's doing it again.
Took the pitch off the plate for ball 1. Recker 0 for 3 today. A comebacker, a strikeout, and a pop-up.
He's also a good fastball hitter. You think he's going to get that pitch here with 1 ball. You let him swing once.
Lagares at first and nobody out. Frazier charging from 3rd. And Recker again squares and bunts it foul, 1-1. I think I would let him swing.
Well, I think I would give him 1 swing there. Absolutely.
I think I know what Terry's thinking, though. He's thinking he wants to stay out of the double play at all costs. And better off this than 2 outs with 1 swing.
Well, this is knowing your customer. Can your batter that's up there who's not used to bunting get a bunt down?
Ike Davis is out on deck to bat for Ruben Tejada. Recker gets the bunt down. Votto throws to second, and it's in time, but I think the Mets are going to challenge that.
That'll be reviewed in a second.
Terry Collins instantly onto the field. It certainly looked as though Lagares beat the play at second, and we're going to have, I am certain, a video review and a challenge by the Mets, and this might be the biggest one to date because it is a game-changing call. And Terry has apparently asked for the challenge, and we are going to get that right now.
And Brian Price might be on the video with his people. I thought this was a poor choice by Votto because he was going backwards when he threw that baseball.
Unless the second base umpire Hoy says that Lagares' foot was in the air and not on the bag, he was certainly there before the throw.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be up to the folks in New York to see if there's clear and convincing evidence to overturn. That's the measuring stick. It's not whether it might be safe. It's whether there's clear and convincing evidence that Lagares was safe. Certainly that angle tells you nothing.
Yeah, the call was out on the field.
See, his foot at one point was in the air. The question is, was it in the air at the point that the throw arrived?
He beat the play.
Yes,
I mean, simply as that. He beat the play. So that is something I think that New York should be looking at.
Play under review brought to you by Mazda. So it's either the first out of the inning with Recker at first, or if it's overturned, the Mets will have first and second and nobody out, down by a run in the bottom of the ninth inning. Here's the play again.
Okay,
I think this is the best angle.
Easily beats the play. He's on the base, okay?
But is his foot actually on the base, or is it up in the air? And I think that's going to be the determining factor.
I think it's on the base, Gary, right there. And you can still see the ball.
Well, there's an umpiring crew at the Baseball Advanced Media Command Center in Lower Manhattan that's scrutinizing every angle available, and they may have angles that we don't have because they have access to angles from the Cincinnati TV feed as well as ours. But that certainly makes it appear as though Lagares was safe. Now, at one point after Cozart has the ball, Lagares' foot comes up and it's off the bag.
But he puts his hand, I thought, went right to the bag in the same motion.
Well, as long as he got the bag at some point before the ball arrived, he was never tagged. And now let's see. And they're going to say safe. So the play is overturned, and the Mets have first and second and nobody out. Well, it's the first one the Mets have challenged under the new rules, and they come up winners. Now, instead of Ike Davis, Ruben Tejada will bat for himself in a bunting situation, and Davis will come out on deck to bat for the pitcher. Well, it took them about 2.5 minutes to determine. It's a sacrifice for Recker, a fielder's choice, enabling Lagares to reach safely on the overturned call.
Interesting, no one in this ballpark cared how long it took to get that right.
Now the Reds looking for the bunt. Tejada 1 for 2 and a walk today. Tying run at second, winning run at first, nobody out. And Ruben lays off the curveball, stopped nicely by Barnhart. 1-0. Well, that is what the new rule is designed to do, to take the important bad call and turn it around and get it right.
And it was interesting between the umpire Hoy and Terry Collins how easy it was to get it. That would have been a year ago an argument that would have escalated into who knows where.
No question. In that regard, the rule worked perfectly. Now the Mets will try and take advantage. 2-0. As that pitch was thrown, Cozart had gone to the bag looking for a pickoff, and the left side was completely open for Ruben. And Davis waiting to pinch hit on deck. 3-2 Cincinnati, last of the ninth. Lagares, good speed at second. Recker, not a fast man at first. And Tejada gets the bunt down, and they let it roll. It goes foul. Well, you've got Hoover on the mound, who is not an overpowering pitcher. Wouldn't you love to see a hit and run play here?
Yeah, right. The only problem, Gary, he doesn't throw enough strikes, or so far hasn't in this inning. He got some good speed at second on Lagares. The only play you're afraid of here is the catcher jumping out of that box and making the play at second with the force.
Right.
Recker's got to get way off. Votto's not holding him close. I mean, I'm talking about 10, 12 feet or more.
2-1 now to Tejada. And up and in. And now it's 3-1. Interesting. Phillips ran in behind Recker on that last pitch, thinking they might be able to pick him off after he got a nice lead.
Good job by Ruben bringing that bat back just in time.
Diablo have a bunt on 3-1. Do you have him take a pitch? What do you do?
Bunting. You gotta have him bunt here because it's 3-1. He's going to get a fastball, and Hoover's got to throw a strike. Who knows if he's going to, though, because of his control issues.
3-1 coming to Tejada, and he bunts it in the air, but a foul ball back on the screen. That's the last thing you want. Now it's 3-2.
Boy, the execution. I mean, you just have to have it here.
Do you run him to stay out of the double play? What do you do here?
Boy, this is a hard call. I don't think you run him, especially, you got Ike up next. Tejada, what you can do is swing here, though. I don't know if you bunt on 3-2 count.
Boy, I wouldn't bunt.
Just have him swing away.
Reds are hedging, keeping the corners in, but not as far in now on 3-2. Three-two coming. And he took it high, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. He was ready to bunt on 3-2. And Hoover missed with it, the second walk of the inning. And the Mets are in prime position with the bases loaded and nobody out. Now the tying and potential winning runs are in scoring position. Ike Davis will come up to try and win it for New York. Logan Ondrusek quickly to work in the Cincinnati bullpen. Now, don't you have to run for record?
I mean, why not? Why not run for record? Darno can run better than record. Jeff Pico, the pitching coach, coming out to try to get Hoover out of this mess that he has created. And you absolutely have to run for record. You need 2 to get ahead here.
Well, Ike Davis, who found out yesterday that he had been deposed as the starting first baseman, with Lucas Duda supposedly getting an extended look. Duda responded to the starting position yesterday, and now Ike hoping to do some damage off the bench.
Well, the other thing you can do if you're Cincinnati is play the shift with 3 infielders on the right-hand side. We saw Ike late in spring training get a couple of hits to the left-hand side against the shift.
Well, Recker is staying in. He's the potential winning run at second base. Corners will play up. Middle infielders looking for the double play for Cincinnati. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Davis takes a strike.
Well, one day after seemingly losing his job at first base, Ike Davis has his chance with Eric Young on deck.
Now the 0-1, and the curveball hit in the air to right field deep. Back goes Bruce to the warning track near the wall. It's out of here! Ike Davis wins it with a pinch hit grand slam in the bottom of the 9th. And the Mets win it 6-3. Two first basemen, 2 heroes. Duda a couple of home runs yesterday, and Davis off the bench with a pinch hit grand slam to win it for New York.
Who says I can't play off the bench? Hanging curveball here by Hoover after getting ahead 0-1. Sat right there in the middle of the plate. And we know what kind of power Ike has when he's on top of his game. He's flipped that off the Pepsi porch. Maybe even a little in front of this ball. But tremendous leverage and power.
The Mets get a boost from an overturned call on video review, and they cash it in against the depleted Cincinnati bullpen. Ike Davis with the walk-off pinch hit grand slam, his 3rd career walk-off hit. And the Mets take their 2nd straight from the Reds. 6-3. Steve Gelbs is standing by on the field with Ike Davis.
Thanks a lot, Gary. And Ike, Pretty unbelievable. It's been a rough couple of days, to say the least. To come on here, hit a walk-off grand slam, what's that feeling like?
I mean, hell, it's just good to make contact. Hadn't got a bat in a while, and it's good to square it up. And obviously, win the game. And it's just good we got a W, and it feels good to come through, and especially just pinch hitting. Something I'm not used to, but gonna have to get used to it. So hopefully I can help out as much as possible.
Well, you said that to us yesterday, that it's a totally new role that you're not comfortable with. As Ike gets pied, and he's wiping out his eyes here, but I'm sure that pie has never tasted so good, right?
It was really good. It's in my eye.
Well, Ike, listen, as you get that out of your eye, you talked about that new role yesterday. Did you do anything differently today? Did you kind of mentally try and get right for this possibility?
Well, I've been doing it the last couple games, and I got a chance to pinch hit like 4 games ago. And, it's just not too bad so far. Hopefully keep swinging the bat well when I get a chance.
After you hit that home run, everyone mobs you at home plate, but then in the dugout, a lot of people couldn't see. Your teammates seem so genuinely happy for you. What's been the encouragement like around this squad the last couple of days?
My teammate, that's the thing, is we got a great group of guys, and they've always had my back, and it's really fun to play with these guys, and it's fun. I mean, I've had some struggles, and obviously it's good to do well.
Moving forward here, I mean, we talked so much about you here the last couple of days, how difficult it's been, but both you and Lucas Duda have had to go through so much uncertainty, and you've talked about the fact that you've never lessened your friendship with him. Yeah. For both of you to come through on back-to-back days like this with the long ball, that has to feel great for the both of you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I said. It's hard to root against a good guy, and Duda's a great guy, and I hope he, obviously hits 40 this year, and I'm pretty sure he hopes when I get my chances I do well too. So, it's what being a good teammate's all about.
Luke, Ike, congratulations, and go get cleaned up. Gary, back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Steve. Ike Davis's first career pinch hit home run, his second career grand slam, as the Mets rally in the bottom of the 9th and win their second straight over the Reds. Look at the game summary. The Mets win it 6-3. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. This win brings the contribution so far this season to an even $5,000. Bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th, and Ike Davis cashes in. A pinch hit grand slam to lead the Mets to victory. More coming up from Citi Field in a moment.